Nothing new, we're just digging deeper into what it is that we've already covered, step by step. And let me just take attendance here real quick. Let's not start with the noise. You guys were just doing really well with that. Okay. Michael, getting these under your desk. Diego, same with you. Melvin? Okay. So, we'll go over the do it. We'll go, so I should say we'll go over the quiz, do it. I don't have homework answers for you today. We had a faculty meeting when I usually do the homework. So, sorry about that. And then we'll get going on today's sheet. So, without any further ado, let's take a look at number one. Okay, yeah, sure. Folks, we should have our quizzes out on the desks so that we can go over them. And then that means when you come into school tomorrow, remember there is no extra help tomorrow, but when you come into school tomorrow, you will be able to, hopefully, step it up a little bit. Do a whole lot better on your quiz than you did today. Now, there was one person who got 100.
Me? Diana?
She copied off of me.
And it's really important that you understand the difficulties that you have. This class has 31 kids in it, or 32 kids. The class after this has 21 or 22. They always get through more of the lesson than you do. There's 10 more kids in here to make noise. There's 10 more kids to have a comment. There's 10 more kids to raise the level of distraction. And at the end of the day, you're the ones who suffer. So up until like maybe 3 or 4 minutes ago, you guys were doing great. But the last few minutes, you're definitely not doing as well as you used to do. Okay, so let's take a look now at number one. It says use the order of operations to simplify. And then it says -2 times -4 minus 3 squared. Now, by the order of operations, the first thing we want to do is any exponents that we see. We want parentheses, but there are nothing to do inside these parentheses, so we don't have to do that. 3 squared is 9, minus. -2 times -4 is what? 8. Some people here put -8. You may have been one of those. If you had the answer -17, then you put -8. It should be +8 because look, when I multiply by this negative, I change the first sign. So that negative has to change to a positive. So now I have +8 and -9. +8 and -9 all together make -1. Okay? Whoever wanted to go to the bathroom, let's just hold on a minute until we're done going over the quiz question.
Well, how do you know to multiply if there's nothing there to signify that?
That's exactly how you know to multiply. No symbol between two things means multiply, all right? So I love it that you actually answered your own question, okay? All right, number 2. Number 2 says 5n squared times 4n. Now, the one mistake I saw a number of you guys make is you forgot that there's really a little 1 there. Multiply coefficients, add exponents. God bless. 5 times 4 is 20. N to the second times n to the first is n to the third. I never care. I couldn't care less what grade you just got on this quiz. I mean, it's really good if you got 100, all right? But if you got a 0 or a 20, it doesn't make any difference. Because as long as you know how to get these 5 questions right, then you get the credit for it before the end of the quiz is given up. And the other thing too is this, you have a test on this material. What are we doing here, boys? What's on the floor?
Oh, nothing.
What's oh nothing? There's something on the floor. I got 3 of you staring at it.
No, I got chalk all over my shoes, and I don't know how.
Okay, Lenny, let's look forward, right, so that we can learn. What was I thinking? Oh, your test is a week from tomorrow. You will have questions like all of these questions on the quiz on your test. So if you learn how to get all of these right, not only do you get the good quiz grade, but it's a big step in the right direction as far as your test grade goes, okay? Now, number 3 says the following. It says 28 m to the 5th, well, n to the 5th, I'm sorry, m to the 12th over 7n squared m to the 4th. So it's divide coefficients, subtract exponents. 28 divided by 7 is?
4,
5 minus 2 is?
3,
Now, I saw some kids write m to the 3rd. What do you think they did if they got m to the 3rd? Yeah. Yeah, they divided, 12 divided by 4. So what we want to do here is subtract exponents, just like 5 minus 2 makes 3. I want m and 8. Okay? So let's not lose track of the rules. On the blue one, multiply coefficients, add exponents. On the green one, divide coefficients, subtract exponents. Next up, -2, x to the 5th cubed. What you have to remember here is you cube everything in the parentheses. That's the hardest part of this one. And this is a question that students traditionally struggle with. Cube, cube. -2 to the 3rd power means -2 times -2 times -2. Folks, that is not -2. That is -8. And then when we raise the power to a power, we multiply. And you guys did really well on coming up with x to the 15. Okay, we were very good on that. So it's -8 x to the 15. Next up. One that we should have done better with than we did. Now, a number of kids got it right, but way too many kids wrote 54 times 10 to the 6th. Now, we have to move the decimal until we create a number between 1 and 10. Listen to what I'm not saying. Listen carefully. I am not saying move the decimal until we get past the zeros. That's not what I said. I said move the decimals until we create a number between 1 and 10. It can't be 10, it's gotta be less than 10. So watch. If I move it 3 places, and I move it 3 more places, have I created a number between 1 and 10?
No.
No, it's 54. I have to go 1 more place. 5.4 times 10, not to the 6th, to the 7th.
Okay, I wrote 5.4.
5.4 times 10 to the 7th. Okay? So, I think as you look back at your quiz, 2 things should pop into your mind. First off, we did go over a lot of these questions several times, so you should have been pretty prepared for them. And the second one is that they're really not that hard. So if you just straighten them out between now and the end of the quiz, you'll get a good grade for this quiz. Plus, it'll also be questions you get right on your test on a week from tomorrow. Okay, next up. Let's see here. Oh, today's do it. Now, here's the problem. The problem is that I don't seem to have the sheet loaded onto the computer that's over there, so I'm gonna have to put it up in a couple of minutes. But I can do the do it questions without. The first question says, express as a standard numeral. Okay, it says 1.2 times 10 to the -5. And the next one says 3.08 times 10 to the 7th. And then it says find the product of 3 times 10 to the 8th and 4 times 10 to the 3rd. And then I will get into the last question there. Okay, so for this question, I see a negative exponent, so that means it's always going to be 0 point. What does that negative exponent mean? 0 point. What does the negative exponent mean?
0 point.
0 point. In scientific notation. Normally, like with a whole number like 4 to the -2, we'd say, negative exponent, reciprocal, sorry, blah, blah, blah. For scientific notation, it means 0 point. And I gotta go a total of 5 places. Now, one of those places is the 1. So I'm gonna go 0, 0, 0, 0. That's 4 places. The 1 is the 5th place, and there's my 2. Now, let's convert backwards and see that it checks. moving, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 0 points, so it's negative, that's gonna be correct. Okay? 3.08 times 10 to the 7, start with my 3, I'm gonna move it a total of 7 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 30,800,000. Okay? And this guy, multiply coefficients, add exponents, just like on the quiz. 3 times 4 is 12, times 10 to the 11. Am I all done? No. What's bad about this? There is something very bad about it. What is it that's bad? Go ahead.
Number is too big.
Yeah, the coefficient, the number in front, is too big. It's supposed to be 1 or bigger, smaller than 10. 12 is not smaller than 10. So I have to divide by 10 here. That's what moving the decimal one place to the left does. And then I have to multiply by 10, which is really 10 to the 1 here. So I get 1.2 times 10 to the 12. And those two answers are equal, but the bottom one is in proper form. Anybody here like baseball? One person? Anybody else? Okay. 2? Well, the Mets have a guy who plays for them by the name of David Wright. Now, David Wright grew up in Chesapeake, Virginia, and my nephews grew up in Chesapeake, Virginia. In fact, they went to the same elementary school that David Wright went to. And before David Wright ever entered into elementary school, his parents received a letter home. And my nephews received the same letter home. It's the letter that the school sends to every single kid who ever goes through their school. It says, in the building, your child will address every male in the building as sir, every female in the building as man, and if they don't do so, they're suspended on the spot. Now, some might think that's a little bit harsh, but if you've ever seen David Wright speak, if you've ever seen the way he carries himself, he's a very good person, and people respect him enormously. And those values were taught to him from the time he entered elementary school. There was a proper way to speak to people with respect. David Wright learned that when he was very young. Likewise, similarly, there is a way to express a number in scientific notation. That way is always with a number between 1 and 10. These two answers are the same answer, but it's not exactly the same thing. I just had a discussion with a friend of mine from California. And in the course of having that discussion with her, she's going back to college. She's about 40 years old. She's taking these classes. She's taking 4 classes. In 3 of the classes, she has a 100 average. And in 1 class, she has a 77 average. If in any class she gets less than a 75 average, she's kicked out of the program.
Why?
Just the rules.
In every college?
No, not in every college, in her particular school. Now, she got in a fight with the teacher the other day. Now, apparently this teacher's a jerk.
A jerk?
Yes. And I trust my friend. So I think she's telling the truth. In fact, I bet on it, 100% that she's telling the truth. Anytime you hear a story like this, there's always 2 sides to the story, but what she's saying is a really good point. She said that she did a question and she came up with an answer, and that the answer was correct, but the teacher wouldn't give her credit for the answer. And in the course of the argument, the teacher doesn't give partial credit. So it's either right or it's wrong. And it's like a 10-point question. So the teacher was pretty much proven that she was wrong, because what my friend did is she went to the textbook, or a textbook-like source, and the question was like, I don't know, calculate something, and there are 2 things that are very similar, and it depends on the way you word it as to which one you should do. So my friend did option A, whatever this terminology was, I forget, and the teacher wanted option B. Now my friend did option A perfectly, and she got no points for it whatsoever. And the teacher said, well, I wanted you to do option B, but here's the problem. The problem is the way the teacher wrote the directions, it meant to do option A. And my friend did do option A. And apparently my friend is not the only person who's had to struggle in the class. A number of kids in the class are thinking of dropping out. that's how bad the teacher is. When you drop out in college, it's a really big deal because you paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for this. So if you quit on it, not only do you not get the degree that gets you the job you want to get, but now you're out the money that you paid for that degree. Plus, you could have been working a different job, and you could have made money instead of spending money. So it's enormously expensive to just quit like this. So she's growing very, very frustrated by what's going on with that teacher. And she made what I consider to be possibly a very bad mistake. She challenged the teacher publicly. Well, saying she was right and the teacher was wrong. I mean, she wasn't disrespectful about it. I'm sure she wasn't that. But you don't do that, not if you want the teacher to take your point. Because now the teachers are worried about looking bad in front of the entire class, instead of the teacher worrying about what's right or wrong. If you have the same exact conversation when nobody else is in the room, and it's just you and the teacher, you have a much better chance of being successful in that. Now, she did tell me the conversation started as semi-private, and then it became louder and the whole class got involved, which is never good. So, you gotta learn how to handle situations. Likewise, when you handle scientific numbers, notation, you are always, always converting that number into a number between 1 and 10. And if you ever are in a class, be it this class or any other class that you take, and you think your answer is right, and the teacher says your answer is wrong, do not start a big fight in front of the whole class. It is not the way to go about doing things.
What
Talk
would you do?
privately and discreetly. Yes?
What happened after? Who won?
Listen, it's not about winning.
She was kicked out.
No, she's in the middle of the semester right now. It's not about getting kicked out. It's not about winning the argument. You know what it's about?
What?
Did you ever hate your teacher so much that you didn't want to do the work in the class?
Yes.
Mr. Ante.
Yes.
Please don't mention names. Here's the deal. She's at that point. She's at that point. She wants to say, you know, enough is enough, and I just can't take this person, it's driving me crazy. And you know what's happening when that happens? She's thinking about her frustration. She's thinking about how angry she feels and how it's unfair and how frustrated she feels. And you can't allow yourself to think like that. You gotta think about what you have to do to succeed. You know, sometimes as a wrestling coach, I come across refs who are horrible.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
and I just have to, you have to know how to work the ref. You gotta know, it's just, you don't scream at them in front of the entire gym. You're not gonna get the call. It's just not gonna happen. But if I pull them off to the side and I talk privately and respectfully but forcefully, if I don't get that call, I'm gonna get the next call. He's not gonna get in on the next one. So hopefully she learns that lesson, because she's a really good person and she deserves to kick some butt and do well in the class. Yes?
Oh, I was gonna ask a question on
Go
that.
ahead.
I understand how 12, it has to be like 1 through 9 and everything.
That's right.
But why does the exponent on the 10 times 10 is 12?
Because there's 11 here and there's 1 there and we're multiplying, so we
Oh.
add exponents.
Okay.
So 11 and 1 makes 12. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want you guys to look, oh, there's one more question to do here, hold on. All right, the next question says 2.4 times 10 to the 4th dollars, 25 times 10 to the 9th. We did one just like this yesterday, so we're gonna skip over that. What I would like you to do is numbers 4 and 5 right there. Okay, work those out now. And I will give you the correct answers to those in, is that on today's sheet or is that a different sheet? Let me see today's sheet, let me see what we got here. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I want you guys to do numbers
This.
1, 5, and 6. Okay, do 1, 5, and 6, and then in the next 2 minutes, I should be able to project those on the board. Okay, you two. Hey, your sheet's not even out. Let's go. Numbers 1, 5, and 6, finish those off. I will give you the correct answers to them in just a minute, but I want to make sure that I'm able to get those
Why is this so hard?
to the sheet. Listen, I don't want to sound unsympathetic, but no whining. There's no whining in math class. We have to find a way to make this happen and do good things. Okay?
That is probably the neatest stuff I have ever seen.
I'm hearing some mumbling in the back there. talking about?
What?
What are you talking about?
Next week, I don't know if it's either Thursday or Friday, but I'm leaving on the 29th to go to, Disney.
Right.
So, can I have my homework and stuff before, or?
I will do my best to have it for you. If worse comes to worse, it'll be on the website, and you can always print it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just trying to like tell our teacher.
Sure, good deal. Okay, hey, shh. Just about ready now. Okay. All right. So, as promised, here we go. Let's start working through these questions. These are some questions that I suspect a lot of you got wrong, but they're really easy. And I think when you see how easy they are, you're gonna go like, what? That's it? So let's work on them right now. And some of them are pretty straightforward. All right? Okay, so first one, x to the 6 times x to the 13. What do we get?
Like 19.
Nice. Okay, next one up, G here. I think that says b to the 24
Yeah.
times b to the 78. Oh, no, it's b to the 94 times 78. So that would be 172.
Yeah. Why doesn't he put a 1 to me?
You can put a 1 in front, that's not a problem.
That's smart.
Okay, next, f to the what?
24.
24, good. And what about negative y squared times negative y to the 34 is negative y to the 36. Good. Now, this is a little different because there's both 4s and 6s. Manny, what do you think?
No, I'm just asking how you got negative y.
Because it's the same base. The f stayed the same, the negative y stayed the same.
Oh.
Don't change a thing. Okay? Now, next. I got my 4s. I'm going to write those first because they're smaller. And the 4 says 9 and 3, so that makes 12. And then the 6 says 5 and 14, so that makes what?
That's 19.
19.
Yes.
Good.
So you don't multiply like the 6 and the 4s and then.
No, because they're different bases.
Oh.
It has to be the same base. Now, what do you think we got here? Keep that same base in mind. 5 to the 10, good. 8 to the, sweet, nicely done, okay. Remember I told you before, I suspected a number of you got them wrong, but they're really not hard?
Yeah.
Okay, next up. If 1/3 squared times 1/3 to the, what does that say, 8?
8?
8.
And then it equals 1/3 to the x. What's x? 10, very good. The x is, to get the x, I need to add them. What's 2 plus 8? 10. Next up, if 3 to the negative 2 times 3 to the x is 3 to the 12, then x equals, this is a little tricky here,
14.
14. Nicely done. Booyah. Very cool, very good. Any questions?
How did you get 14?
Because negative 2 plus 14 is 12. Okay, so that covers us through today's lesson. Now you got to do the homework tonight. Work real hard on it because we're in test prep mode. We are getting ready to kick some serious cookish. Do you realize that a lady was just walking by the Joe? No, Joe. You realize a lady was just walking by the doorstep? You gotta realize that stuff, right? Hey, better bring them all, right?
Joseph.
But now we went over it, it should be better tomorrow. I didn't say perfect, I said better. Okay?
Give it to me. Joey, sorry.
Alright, fine, fine, I'll do it.